Now today's project for you is how to paint a puffin by using a pen and wash technique. We'll talk about the pens which I use and also the techniques as well, not forgetting applying those lovely colours over the top. So let's get the pens working, shall we? And also those brushes wet. Let's get started. Now once you've got that image drawn out, i.e. something like that, make sure you've got everything transferred through or draw it out by hand, whichever method that you want to use. It's entirely up to you, of course. You need to decide on what pen to use. I'm going to use this one here initially. This is one by Pilot, drawing pen. It's a 01 nib. I've got another one here as well, which I'm going to be using during the process for those really dark areas, you know. It's a Sakura Pigment Micron 01, and that's that one as well. All the pens that we use need to have pigment ink inside them. So you don't want anything that's going to blur when you go over the top of that with some watercolours later. Now they're just two that I use, but there's plenty more on the market. So have a look, see what you can find. Just make sure it's definitely waterproof, okay? I'll start off with the outline first of all. Now my pencil marks are fairly dark, one so you can see it on the camera. Also because I need to see where they are as well. But normally these pencil marks are much lighter than this. Just going over the pencil marks initially, looking at how dark those lines are, and you think, well, you know, Paul, they're not that dark in that area, so what I'm going to do, just ease off that pressure and also angle that pen down as well. Do you need that line to be dark or do you need it to be quite light? Very lightly go over the top of those pencil marks, just like I'm doing now. Then once you've done that, then we can start to fill in the details as well. In fact, the best part is when we add those colours directly over the top. Keep looking at that reference photograph every few seconds. Make sure that photograph is a similar size to your painting or drawing, whichever you're doing. And also don't rush it. Take plenty of time when you're doing something like this. You should never rush a detailed painting. Well, that's how I work anyway. When you're working with pen, it's just that you do all the detail work with the pen. Then when you add the colours over the top, you don't have to even think about details, just colours and that's it. Because the thing is with waterproof pens, is that once it's on the paper, it's on the paper, you can't get it back off again. That's why it's always best to be a little bit cautious to begin with. And if you're not sure if it's dark enough, take a break, step back for a little bit, go and put the kettle on or something like that. Then come back with those fresh eyes and then decide if it needs to be that little bit darker. Get the lightest shade on first of all, and then you can gradually darken it where it needs to be darker. So it's looking very carefully at that photograph again, trying to work out where those different tones are, you know. And when we add the colours, we'll not be painting details. We will have already done all of that, so we don't need to. Also, look at the direction that the lines go. They do vary, they really do. Around the eye, they change direction quite a lot around there. Now, if you've got your photograph the same size or thereabouts as your painting, then you find you can't see a lot of detail, can you? But you can see some basic shapes here and there. Sometimes it's worth mapping out the direction of the feathers before you start to add all that detail over the top. Don't make these lines too parallel with one another. Overlap them slightly as you do so, okay? At least that way it won't look as if it's been combed. We don't want that. It's like being to the barbers. No, of course not. Or the hair salon. And once again, look at those tones. Look at where it's darker, where it's lighter, where there's just a slight change of colour in places as well. And add those in. When you're working with any painting, just remember to reserve quite a lot of that white paper. Only add the dark in where it's really needed, and I mean really dark areas. Be very, very cautious. Once you've got one layer on, reassess it from a distance. And then you can decide if you want to add a layer over the top. That's the beauty about working on something like this. Because you're not rushing it and you are taking your time with it. Now I think it's time for us to put some colour on this lovely puffin. So what I'm going to do, let's go for the orange first of all, shall we? Now I've got cadmium orange and I've got scarlet lake. So try those two together first of all. You don't need too much because it's not a large area there, is there? And a small amount of cadmium orange. Quite a rich cadmium orange though, so you have to be careful. So straight onto the paper using a watery consistency paint. Now we have got some lighter patches here as well. So what I'm going to do, bring that line down there, bring that paint up, all the way to the top. And the same here. Leaving a bit of gap in between there, as you can see. Don't forget the lower part of the beak as well, just down there. And we have got some blemishes on that beak as well, which you can add in afterwards. This is the first layer, don't forget. And every layer that we add will get richer. So I'll lift off a little bit of paint off this side now. And get some kitchen roll and just lightly tap it like that. Because that's where it's paler, isn't it? Just on this one edge. Just there. It's good to do this when the paper's damp, because that means this edge here will blur as it dries. Blur. Dry that brush, or semi-dry it at least. Then go over the edge of that beak again, the very top edge this time. And very carefully lift off that paint. And that will create more of a rounded feel to the beak as well. Something like that. If you would like to know the materials which I use, pop a comment in the section down below this video. Now obviously these videos do take a lot of filming, so if you really do like what you see here, do me one huge favour. All I'm asking you to do is click on that subscribe button down below, and also that like button as well. You see, when you do that, there's a good chance that YouTube will show my content to other arty folk just like yourself. And you get one huge personal thank you from me as well. We've also got a yellow coming down the side here, along the top of the beak. And also we've got yellow around here for the mouth, for the gape of the mouth. Get a bit of yellow. And we can add this over the top of the mouth, or the gape of the mouth. Just a bit of colour in there. I think I need a bit more colour in there actually. Let's grab a small amount of burnt sienna and add that one in there as well. Okay. Let's put that in there. So we've got burnt sienna in there as well, so just in case I need it again. Then blend it very lightly with a semi-dry brush, as you can see. And bring that down the side of the beak, just there. Just a hint of yellow coming down. They call me Mellow Yellow, quite rightly. And then I'm going to go for my orange colour again, what's left of it, and add in the orange around the eye. Look at that. Ooh, lovely. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Once this is dry, you can add another layer over the top if you wish. Now, I suggest you leave the sand eels until this is nice and dry, or give it a quick dry with a hairdryer, or heat gun, anything like that, from a distance, of course. Not too close. I'm going to put a bit more yellow in there, actually. Before the face, we need sort of a grey colour, don't we? We've already got the detail on there. And for that, I'm going to use some Payne's Grey. Not that we need much in those areas, not really. Payne's Grey is a nice dark colour, isn't it? It's not black. Sort of a bluey black, if you wish. I'm going to water this down as well. Where's my piece of rubbish paper? There we go. That's the sort of thing I'm looking for, nice and pale. When you look at the face, you can see that we've got a lot of white there, haven't we? And we don't want to completely cover that white up. So I'm going to dampen the paper first of all, avoiding the gape of the mouth, because I know that's probably still a bit damp in there. Just dampen it and allow that water to soak into the paper. So Payne's Grey first of all. I'm going to start down the lowest sections, just to add this in, avoiding the very edge, the very bottom of that. If it goes down to the bottom of the face, don't worry, it has done there, look. We can just simply lift it off like we did on the beak. Then gradually bring that colour up, then ease off around there. Don't forget around the eye, just underneath the eye here, look, into that wet paper. You need to make sure this is definitely watery, otherwise it'll be far too dark on that face. The back of the eye, just a touch of it. And I may even just go into this mark in here, look, just to darken it down a touch more, so it's a little bit too bright. There you go, that's got it. I think this area here, I might leave that because I don't want to darken that area at all. I'm trying to be, well, very cautious again. And just lighten down this bottom edge of the face again. A sort of reflective light, isn't it, down there? A little bit paler there in light. And that's all we really need for that area. I'll do the same again around here and also the top of the head. You'll also find down here is a little bit paler, isn't it? A little bit lighter. So what we can do, just grab some more yellow a minute, which is now turned nearly green. Add a touch, only a touch though, too much there, I'll lift some off of that into there as well. That'll just change the colour slightly there, won't it? Just change the way it looks. Remember that you're in charge of that paint, so you can move it around as much as you want to. As long as the paper's still damp, you can do what you want with it. It's only when the paper starts to dry, well, it becomes a little bit trickier. Now when it gets to the wing, what I want you to do with this one is first of all dampen it down. We'll be using our grey, but we're going to also introduce another colour as well. Just grab some of that out of my half pans and pop that one in there. Now being the lightest colour, I'm going to pop that one in first of all. A bit too much there. Just soften it back a little bit if it's too much. Just a touch here and there. Because we know that the feathers are black. The more you look, the more you see. And very often you see other colours in there as well. Then you can add the other colour over the top of that in places. Not everywhere, of course. Just to tone it all down. That's all I'm trying to do here. The top parts of the wing, there are some lighter areas in there. But I don't want it looking too separate. So again, tone it down where needed. A little bit of our brown in there, just in places as well, but not much. That needs to dry now. But whilst that's drying, I'm going to try not to put my hand in that and start painting those sand eels. When you look at the sand eels, much of the colour is really bright, isn't it? That bright blue. For that I'm going to use phthalo blue, or intense blue if that's the one you've got, or Windsor blue. Just so you know that if you want the reference photograph, the outline drawing, and to know which colours I've used for the entire painting, is all on my Patreon channel. The link to Patreon is in the description down below. And I think we also need another colour as well. I'm going to go for, I'm trying to think actually what we got in there. Purple, which is this one here. A little bit of purple. Look at that. Oh, that's nice. Bright blue. Straight onto the paper, I think, in this case. We'll give it a try, shall we? Give it a tap or two, just so it's not too overloaded with paint. Start on the one right at the front. And this one here. Just a hint of colour here and there. You don't want to completely fill them in, because they're not, are they, on there? So probably down to about there. It's going down the central parts of the fish, just down there. Look. Give that brush a quick rinse out. Go for your purple. Lovely purple that, isn't it? It really is. I can add a touch of that just on this one here. On the underside of this one. I know. Just down the inside edge of this one. And maybe even mix it in with a little bit of that purple as well. Because we know we can, of course. I just want to very lightly blend this now around there. Watch out for any water runs, lot. See that? That will go splodge right on top of your painting. And sometimes, especially when you're working with just watercolours, it can be quite irritating to say the least. Bit of our brown colour. Add that down there. Lighten it slightly. I'm trying to maintain the brightness of colour on there as well. Slightly stronger around there. Probably too much paint, so I'm going to just soften this down now. Look how strong that is. Woohoo! That's nice. What a lovely colour. And for now, that'll do for one of them. I know, I could put more in there yet. And I may do that, we shall see. We'll go down this one now. Same way. Very lightly. Put our brown towards the bottom. Go for your purple on the right hand side. Doesn't really matter which side we put it on. Just a hint of purple in there as well. And that's what I'm going to do for all of these now. You can of course put the colour around the outside of the puffin if you want to. But if you do that, just be very careful not to go on any of those white areas with a darker colour background. How would you like to have a go at another pen and wash project? Click on that link to the top right hand corner of that screen. I'll see you there.